thing because we're on air. Yes, and we're back. You are listening to IBGR.network. IBGR is a call sign as a radio station, but of course we are much more than a radio station. We are a global network, and as I said earlier, in more than 152 countries of the world, people have now found us and are listening to us, and that's because of what happens behind the scenes, but a lot because of also the 40 hosts around the world. The more than 40 hosts now are spreading the knowledge, are spreading the joy, are spreading this, where we are given of ourselves because we want to help you, and you the listener as a budding entrepreneur, an entrepreneur, or maybe somebody who just wants to know more about people skills or about finance or about clients or about customers or about organization or about executives. There is something for everybody here. So like and share this with other people, and join us. Join us on this journey. Join us, and if you learn something, but if you want to learn something as well. My series is not set in stone, and none of the other ones are set in stone either. But you need to ask us questions. You can go on our website ibgr.network and hit the pulsating orange question mark. Ask questions. Go to Facebook. Join us and ask questions. Something you want to know more about, something you want to know about. We'll do our best to talk into it because you, the listener, you, the viewer, are the most important people in this program. So I thank you for being here, and I am your host Jan Robberts, the inspirational entrepreneur, and this is already season 4 and session episode 5. I'm talking here about persistence, and it's not just a nice to have. So we're talking about all of this in our people lane, people skills for success at ibgr.network. Now you can actually download my show notes here as well, and I would recommend that too. If you go to the network, you can download them on the app as well, because download our app is amazing, so you can have this on the go wherever you are. But in the show notes I've put some resources as well, and also a link to the free Think and Grow Rich book, which I'm going to talk a little bit about now, because there is actually, I want this session here, I want to talk about the 16 symptoms of lack of persistence, and they come out of the book Think and Grow Rich, where chapter 9, I believe it is the chapter about persistence. Now, in session 4, I'm going to talk about an exercise that is so powerful about persistence that when you do this, because of course you're going to do that, when you do that exercise, you will discover a lot about yourself. And next episode next week, I'm going to talk a bit into how important it is to know yourself. Now you're going to get to know a bit about yourself, and if you start that exercise today or this week, and maybe we can already talk into it a little bit next week as well, because I'm going to come back to this exercise. But first of all, I want to start talking about some of the symptoms of lack of exercise, because when I talked about business and I left you just now, where so many entrepreneurs have gone through failures, the naysayers, those people who ridicule you, the pain and anguish, the sleepless nights, as I talked about, and there is so many of them. I mean, we can talk about it, but they had that dogged determination, that desire and persistence, because they had that strong why, that voice inside that talked to them, which I talked about last episode, so you can go back and download the podcast from there as well. But I talked into that, and they had that true grit and that dogged determination, but they persisted. There's many examples. Richard Branson, when you read about him, and he talks about it as well, where he had to sell his Virgin music business, the record shops, the record company. It shows you how long ago these round things, but the music business, to save his airline. Was that a failure? Now, well, he's gone from strengths to strengths. Now, and Donald Trump, like him or lump him, like him or hate him. Yeah, okay, it's a live show, but if you don't know who Donald Trump is now, but he talks about it in that show where he says you're fired. I can't remember what the show is, but he talks about it, that he failed and went 13 million in debt or something. He dug himself into a hole, but he knew how to become successful, so he got up again. But again, you might not like him, but then he got up again. So from failure to success to success. Some failures on the way. The Wright brothers were ridiculed by their own father. And there is many examples from all walks of life where you can see that people kept going despite all of this Persistence is key. Now I'm going to talk into 6 symptoms of the lack of persistence. And these are the weaknesses we must face, and we must master those weaknesses if we ever want to accumulate riches. And I'm quoting Napoleon Hill, of course, but the first one is failure to recognize and clearly define exactly what you want. So if you've got a burning passion, if you're an entrepreneur, do you know exactly what you want? And this is in all walks of life, of course, but I'm talking into entrepreneurial, but also your personal life. What are your goals, and how do you know exactly what you want? And I'm not just talking about your New Year's resolution that you now write down. Oh, this year is the year. I don't even get a New Year's resolution. By the way, how they going? It's now February. Have you already given up and quit on them? No persistence? Maybe next year? No, every day is a new day, but you need to write down exactly what you want. Writing down is very important because you need to recognize what you want and read it every single day, more than once. Then the second one is procrastination. Now, with or without causes, you know, usually it's backed up with a formidable array of alibis and excuses. But procrastination all the same. You know, I wanted to procrastinate, but I'll look into that tomorrow. Sure. But procrastination is the second one. The third one is lack of interest in acquiring specialized knowledge. Now, the chapter of desire, which is not coincidentally the first chapter in the book of Think and Grow Rich, it talks into all of that you need to have a desire, and if you need to learn a new skill, whether it's you're going to a different country, you need a new language, or whatever that skill is, you need to learn to communicate better. You need a lot of personal development skills. How are you doing in your personal growth when you actually start to walk with and talk with people? It is important. Then you have indecision, the habit of passing the buck on all occasions. Now, instead of facing issues squarely, and most of these things are also backed up by alibis very close to procrastination as well, of course. And it's something that I have had to face and still face certain issues. But knowing these weaknesses, these things that you need to work on, that is the first point of improvement, of course. The habit of relying upon alibis instead of creating definite plans for the solution of your problems. So alibis, excuses, they don't take any more work than actually finding the reason for. That's why defining your why is so important, and persisting only when you really have that passion, that power, that purpose to really go forward. Whatever that why is and whatever these goals are, you need to reach. I will until. You know, and if you don't reach them, at least if you move towards them, you'll be a lot further having those goals than if you hadn't set them. Where will you be if you don't set any goal and you just go through life surviving? You go down or you go up. You never stand still. This is a choice. Self-satisfaction. And in the book they say there is but little remedy for this affliction, and no hope for those who suffer from it. Now, so don't have that. Don't be satisfied with all that is all around you. If you ever have that think and grow rich attitude, if you ever want that think and grow rich attitude, you need to drive through that. And especially because persistence will never come if you're satisfied and you sit on your laurels, whatever it is, because when you sit down, down the way you go. Indifference, usually reflected in one's readiness to compromise on all occasions rather than meet opposition and fight it. If now was ever a time that you've met a lot of opposition. No, I am all for speaking your truth, and I speak my truth, and that meets with opposition, I can tell you. Now, it is not to impress others or to make others change their thoughts or beliefs, but it is most of the time to inform, and that really goes down their own cake hole for some people, and they can't stand it. But we're really looking into your values. I'm a values-based leadership specialist, which is, creating culture change and transformation even in entire countries, which I'll talk about another time. But what are your core values like? What is your value system, and are you sticking to it? How does your integrity work? Indifference doesn't work in any of that, people. The habit of blaming others for one's mistakes and accepting unfavorable circumstances as being unavoidable. You can go back to this and listen to this again, but those are huge things. Blame storming is something that happens a lot just now. It's not my fault that I'm failing. It's not my fault I'm not succeeding because it's the government, it's the medical industry, it's the disease, it's all this, what's happening around me. No, if it's to be, it's up to me. So that means we need to look into this more closely. Don't blame others. The only person who can ensure that tomorrow will be better is the person looking in the mirror. The only way we can guarantee that tomorrow will be better if we do something today to make sure that we get better today. I get excited about this stuff, people, but I am so passionate about this. A weakness of desire is another one, due to neglect in the choice. So if you haven't got a strong enough why, your motives don't get you to go to action, and you'll sit down at the first time. The willingness, even eagerness to quit at the first sign of defeat, and that's based on many of the basic fears we people have. Then you have lack of organized plans, and I need to keep an eye on the time again because we're going here rapidly, but lack of organized plans again. What is your strategy for success? What is your strategy to become an entrepreneur, or to follow your entrepreneurial journey? And I said, if you need help, if you need guidance, there's plenty of people here, but we're also strategic partners with Cubimo. Go to the Cubimo platform, cubimo.com, where you can sign up. You can actually become an entrepreneur instantly if you've got a product or service, but you can also learn from other people. The platform is growing where you can actually have your plan and follow it through to opening your doors and beyond, even find funders on that platform. It's an amazing platform which we at IBGR and also us at Key Leadership have become strategic partners to collaborate with, so we can give you even more to help you along. But have a plan. Now, then we have the habit of neglecting to move on ideas or grasp opportunities when they present themselves. You know, opportunities are there all the time and they go by. Number 13, wishing instead of willing. And then we are near the end already. We need to take a break, but the habit of compromising with poverty. I'm going to talk into that during the break as well. Searching for all the shortcuts. There is no shortcuts to success, and the fear of criticism. Now we're going to take a break, but don't go away. Come back to us straight afterwards again. See you soon.